So, I never thought I'd say this, but before I do, Doctor Who review, the episode It Takes You Away. I never thought I'd say this, but this was a really, really good episode. If it had any political subtext, it was either very, very, very subtle or non existent at all in this episode. I didn't pick up anything. Most thing I could pick up was, abandonment or something like that. But it kind of seems like this episode was focused on the whole idea of moving on. So the Doctor and company end up in Norway. They find a cabin by the lake. It's all boarded up, and inside is a girl named Hannah, and she's blind, and she's been waiting for her dad, who's been apparently gone for 4 days. She says there's a monster outside, and they have to be ready because at a certain time it comes out and hunts every day. They start, holding down the fort. Graham's upstairs, and he hears like this screechy sound, and he sees a mirror, and he doesn't see his reflection, so he gets closer to it. Ryan comes in, and he's astonished. Same thing, is we don't have reflections. And then they have the line, "We'd know if we were vampires, right?" So I just thought that was funny, because I was like, the whole thing, I was like, oh my god, they were vampires the whole time. But the Doctor comes in, he's sonic screwdriver, finds out that this is actually like a crack into another area. So of course her and Graham and Yaz go through. They find someone who lives there. We find that this is like an anti-zone where it's created when something is happening, something major. So they follow this guy, and there's these moths, like flesh moths, and they will basically think of like the scarabs from the Mummy, that they'll get on you and they'll just start burying in and eating your flesh. These ones don't bury in you, but they eat your flesh. So this guy tries to be a dick and whatnot, and he meets his demise at the hands of these moths. Meanwhile, Graham is outside, and he's looking around, and he's not really looking around. He sees wire in the house, and he follows it to a speaker outside, which is playing these growling and howling sounds that we thought were the monster. So basically, there was no monster. It was just this speaker playing. But the Doctor, Graham, and Yaz, they're trying to get away from these moths because they're being chased, and they end up in another universe. Essentially, it's mirrored to the one they were just in, and inside they find Hannah's dad, named Eric, and he's with his wife, who in their universe is actually dead. And Graham happens, they go outside, and Graham sees Grace. Now this is where, it's like, oh my god, please. And not in a bad way, but just the interaction with Graham and Grace. I mean, I love Graham's character, and I knew that if the series failed, which it still did, I still loved his character, between him saying Doc or his one-liners or this, but they essentially the Doctor comes up with this whole that she remembers something that her sixth grandma told her, about a story about basically this consciousness that wanted to exist in our universe before everything began, before time, before space, when it was just elements and this and that there was a consciousness that wanted to exist, but it couldn't because it was unstable and it was threatening to destroy both universes. So it was kind of, think of it like the Time Lords, where it was like this parallel pocket universe that was cut off from the rest of everything else, and that by doing so it stabilized everything, and our universe was able to flourish and grow, but this one was kind of off and alone. But all it wanted to do was exist with us. It wasn't malice, it wasn't evil, it just wanted to exist with us and friends and this and that. But there was too many people in that parallel universe, and it became very unstable, so they had to keep, insulting these loved ones that were there. They were basically just tricks. Not really tricks. Think of it as like this world was doing everything it could to keep you there because it didn't want to be alone, so it was creating things it knew you would like. So Eric lost his wife, so it created his wife. Graham lost Grace, so it created Grace. But when they realized that it wasn't these things, they had to kind of make Graham had to make a choice, because at first I was like, what, is Graham actually staying in that world? But he kind of realized after he heard that Ryan had been trapped in the anti-zone, and the alternate Grace pretty much, oh, don't worry about him, he's a smart lad. And he was like, you were so close, but Grace would never just say that about Ryan. She'd be much more worried about him. So he got up and he had to do his little insulting. She blasted him through the mirror, and and then the doctor ends up there, and the consciousness of this world, of the alternate world, takes the form of a frog on a chair, but it has Grace's voice. And I'm like, oh my god, between alternate universes, killer moths that are the size of bats, a fucking talking frog, this episode's amazing. So the doctor, I think this is actually Jodie's best acting, was in this episode. And she was basically like, you have to let go. I mean, we can't exist in the same world, because even now things are still unstable, because the doctor is basically like phasing in and out, like really like shaky, like in and out, glitchy kind of things. And she's like, you gotta let me go, otherwise we're both gonna die. But we can still be friends. If you let me go, I promise you I'll be your BFF. And of course, the consciousness is like, okay, and boom, blasts her back into the anti-space, the anti-zone, and they make their way back to our universe. And so obviously Graham's upset, but he kind of realized that it's kind of somewhat time to not really get over it, but to move on. And Ryan calls him granddad finally, and it was just a really, really good episode. Like I said, if there's anything political, it was very, very subtle or non-existent at all, and I really, really enjoyed it. So this one would be high on a rating. I'd say like this is like a 9.7 because it was really good. The area, it was a nice view of the lake and the trees, the forest area and all that. It's really nice. So I love episodes that have great scenery, because sometimes that really sets the mood. The dialogue, like I said, we know if we were vampires, right? Just stuff like that. So yeah, 9.7, 9.8. Definitely high up there. The best episode of the series so far. Grand finale next week. So hopefully it lives up to grand finale. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know below. Comment, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.